Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's tutorial, we're gonna create a simple service in Golang integrated with Chat GPT, and then later you should be able to apply this knowledge for your needs. So without further ado, let's get to it. Here are a few considerations. So first of all, we need to install Golang. So you can go to this website and install the latest version. The next one is ChatGPT actually doesn't provide to you free API at the moment, so you gotta pay for it. But the good news is that it's quite affordable. So for 1 million tokens, they want $1.50 for the version that we're gonna use, ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo. And what one token mean? One token actually is about 4 characters in a prompt that you're sending to ChatGPT. For instance, in this example, they used many characters, and in the end, it cost them 57 tokens approximately. For me personally, for my pet project, I spending not that much. So, for instance, on the previous months, I spent 4 cents for the entire March. So for single project, for pet project, I think it's quite fair and affordable price. Obviously, you can set limitations and all of that. Cool. So what our server in Go actually will do, it will be this part in the architecture, and our server is gonna be a kind of smart dictionary, which will receive lexical item. Lexical item, it's a word, phrase, or idiom in English, and then it will provide to the client this lexical item that he set, like word, phrase, and so on, the meaning of the word or phrase, and examples of usages. Uh, I think it's mainly it's gonna be just one endpoint, and we'll communicate with our backend via curl, via HTTP requests, and under the hood, backend, our Golang service, gonna communicate with Chat GPT API by sending prompts and getting results. I think that's mainly it in terms of architecture, and let's get into implementation. Regarding our tech stack, we're gonna be using only one external library, which is Echo. It's a web framework for Golang, and the rest of them gonna be internal libraries that provided by Go. So, first thing that we need is a logger. Let's go ahead and create it. Uh, Slot new, and here we specify that we want to have our logs in JSON format, new JSON handler, and we need to specify the out here, and we don't want any other options, so we specify nil. So then we create this echo instance, and we need to create some routing. We'll have only one endpoint, which is get. Look as follows: v1 translations and lexical item. Here we need to specify the handler, so we can go inside handler function that they're expecting, and it has the following signature. So we'll go ahead and copy this guy, paste it here, and we need to initialize it. Yeah, here we need to specify echo package. Yeah, and it's internal context that echo provides. And as a test, we'll specify echo string. Here we need to specify HTTP status. It's going to be HTTP status okay at the moment, and then message request has been received. Okay, I think that's pretty much enough for the beginning. And then we actually need to start the server. So for that, we can simply write E for echo and start. And here we need to specify the port. Starts with a colon because we're going to be using localhost, and here we specify 8080. So our application will be working on 8080, but in case something go wrong, you can see here that it returns an error. So we want to handle that. And for that, we're going to be using our logger that we created. So let's go here and write our logger error for error. And here we need to specify the message first. Server has failed. And here we need to use as log any. Specify here that it's going to be an error, and the other next parameter will specify our server. And that's pretty much it. We need to close the bracket, and I think that's it. We can go ahead and try to run this application. Compiling. Yeah, we can see that our application is up and running, and it's running on localhost 8080. Let's try to make curl localhost 8080. Specify the path, which is the following. Instead of lexical item, we can, for the time being, specify just test. Cool, we received our request. Seems to be this part is done. Let's implement the logic which will be communicating with the Chat GPT now. Firstly, we'll restructure the package a little bit. We'll move main to CMD, and we'll create another package which is pkg, and here will be all of our other packages. First, domain, where we'll store all our data models, and another is server, where will be server itself. Creating a server, translator server. Okay, it's empty file, creating the structure, type translator server struct. First thing that we need is logger, another the chat GPT API key. And the last one is chat GPT URL. Yeah, API URL. These both gonna be string, and that's it. Let's create constructor for it, or factory method in Golang. Func new translator server. At the parameter, we need to specify all of these guys. So logger, slog, logger, chat GPT API key, and chat GPT API URL, and it will be string. We'll return pointer to our translator server, and let's initialize it here. Here we go. Oh my God. Logger. I think can be copied. copy it and this as well, because they have the same name. Cool. And now we creating our main function, which actually gonna be responsible for translating T translator server, and this function will be called translate. As a parameter, we'll have, as we had before in our router here, echo context. Oh, and returning an error. That's made it. So this part we can just copy for the time being and check that we implemented everything correctly. So let's go ahead and execute the server. Translator server new translator server. Here we need to specify logger first and then other parameters. So we'll create here a few environment variables. First one is Chat GPT API URL, which is will be received by the following way. We'll execute os get env and we'll be expecting that we'll specify this here. Okay, and another one is ChatGPT API key. So we'll go ahead here and specify the key. So now we have everything. Just need to specify them here. API key first. Oops. Yeah, let's name it in the same way as I named there. Oh my god. And here should be URL, here the key, all good. And then good. And here we need to use pointer. Okay. Server has been created, and because of that we can, instead of this, just specify translator server dot translate, because it has the same signature. Just checking if it works as expected. Oh, our previous server is running. Let's turn it off, start again. Okay, we see that it's up and running. Now Coral is working as well, which is good. So now we have our server and we can continue implementing the logic itself. So we need to get this lexical item. How we can get it? Specify lexical item echo param, like context param, and the variable. So we should receive from parameter, so basically this value, and we'll be checking if it's empty. If it's empty, then we can say that it was a bad request, right? HTTP status bad request. And the message lexical item wasn't provided. Cool. Next thing is we need to communicate with the Chat GPT. For that, we need to create another function. It's going to be something like translate by Chat GPT. Here we'll call this function. For time being, let's return this here new. And let's create this function. So it can be as well translator server, and we'll call it translate by Chat GPT. And in parameter, we expect to get lexical item string. And as a response, we want to return the this lexical item, the meaning, and examples. So because of that, we need to go to domain and create here one new model, which can be called just translator server. And here we can expect some message like translation response, which will consist of few parameters as I mentioned, lexical item string, to JSON, lexical item, as well meaning string, same thing, and example. And we need to add these keys here. What's happened? Let's try once again. Here we go. But I wanna it in camel case, and we don't need them in empty. Cool. So let's. Okay, I don't have it. So let's return this object. It'll be a translation response. Yeah, it could be nil also. Let's use pointer, and we need to specify the package, which is the main, and here we will return error. Once it's done, we should first of all prepare our prompt. I'll say something like translate the lexical item, provide response in the following JSON format, lexical item string, meaning as well type string, and lexical item to translate okay, meaning and example string, and lexical item to translate, and we'll specify the lexical item from the parameter. So prompt we prepared. Now we need to prepare the request body. Format f. I'll copy it from the ChatGPT documentation. Here it is. So what we'll specify here, the model that we're gonna use, In the message will be role from your account, and content is our prompt. The next part is the HTTP request itself. Request error and HTTP new request. Method will be used post, and we'll use Chat GPT API that we provided to the server. Chat GPT API URL. Bytes. We need to specify the request body. Bytes new buffer, and here will be bytes new buffer. I don't know why it's complaining. Byte request body. Maybe different package. Yeah, seems to be a wrong package. Cool. Here's something wrong typed. Cool. It was created. If error here doesn't equal to nil, and we're return nil and error. If everything is fine, then we need to add as well a couple of headers to our request. First header is content type. It will be application JSON. And the second header, authorization. And here we need to write here and then space and specify here the our API key. Cool. We have that, and now we creating HTTP client itself. And making request, which we will expect some response. Client do request. Yeah, specify pointer here. If error equal to nil, then we'll return the error. So that's it, and we need not forget to close connection and body, which is going to be done by the following way. And now once request is sent, we'll need to receive the response and handle it properly. So we expect to get the body, might something go wrong, so some error, and read it actually. If we've got some error during reading body, we can return nil and error. Like in a best case scenario, better to wrap this error, like for instance, fail to make request to chat GPT API, and here specify the error that we received. But for our like POC tutorial application, it's fine to just leave an error. Okay, so let's assume that we read the body and now we need to unmarshal it to the structure. How ChatGPT structure look like? Let's create another file for it. And let's call it ChatGPT. And first thing that we expect is a message, which will contain the JSON content, chat GPT message struct, uh, content string, JSON content. And another thing is ChatGPT as well provides some choices. We're not gonna use them, but the structure does exist there. Basically, it consists of messages. And the main thing that we need is ChatGPT response now. And it will consist of array of these choices. Okay. Okay. So I think we good now. Let's go ahead and continue. So we've got the body. Now we need to unmarshal it. So let's use JSON unmarshal. Specify here the body, and on the right hand side will be our ChatGPT response. And we need to specify the pointer. Error already was created, so we don't need to specify a colon here. And as always in Go, checking if it returns error or not. If it is, let's return an error. But if it didn't return an error, we'll check that we received only one choice, because we don't expect to get multiple choices. I didn't specify it anywhere. Okay, ChatGPT response choices. Good. And it shouldn't be, if it's not equal to 1, because we expect only 1, and we can return nil error. Error, we'll write our own expected only one choice, but received, and we can specify here some number. For instance, yeah, I don't know which number gonna be. Okay, just the length of the elements, right? So for instance, we received 0. Okay, it's not equal to 1. We go to this case, expected only one choice, but received 0. Or if 2, we'll have here received 2. Pretty much self-explanatory. And then Um, we need to return translation itself. So I'll go back to our domain and um, to server, and right here I didn't copy. Yeah, good. Um, let's call it just response for simplicity and specify the package domain. And we need to read content from the message. That will use JSON and Marshall, and we'll specify as array of byte our Chat GPT response choice. We'll take the first element because we expect only one. We'll take the message and we'll take content, which, as you remember, should be the JSON in the following format: lexical item, meaning example, exactly as we have here in our translation response. And yeah, so we want to unmarshal it and get this response. Response, and if error occurred, we want to return it. If not, we don't need the colon here again. We want to return response. And no error. Okay, and here's something incorrect. Yeah. And white. Oh, I already used response. My bad. Okay. Okay. Let's use translation response. And here we want to convert translation response. So should be good now. We actually implemented everything. So only now the last thing which is left is to actually call this function. How are we gonna do this? We're gonna execute translation. We're gonna expect translation response and error, and we'll execute this. So it's T translate by ChatGPT, providing our lexical item, getting some response. If error occurred, returning, we're actually gonna handle it properly. So we'll use our logger with error, and we'll say failed to translate, and we'll use as log any error, and we'll specify our error. Once it's done, we need to return no content, because yeah, actually we don't want to return anything to our client, just something went wrong. With status HTTP internal server status internal server error. That's it. But if everything went fine, we'll return context in JSON format, and HTTP status gonna be okay, and the output will be our translation response. Here, okay, it should be from capital letter. Wow, really, everything is good now. I will show you now how to specify this ChatGPT API URL and ChatGPT API key. For that, we need to open this website, openai.com/product, click Get Started, and sign in or sign up with one of the following options. I prefer Google. And then we need to go to API key section and create new secret. I'll call it dictionary. And here my newly created secret. And another thing that will be required is this URL to OpenAI API. So to keep both of these variables, we'll create that then file, but be careful with that. You don't want to push your secrets to GitHub public account because they can stolen and use for bad purposes. So we'll take names of our variables. Okay, and let's copy these values. So first of all, it's a key. Here I'll specify the key, and here I'll specify the URL from the OpenAI specification. Here we go, and I will copy these variables for simplicity purpose and paste it to my IDE. Okay, and I should be able to make my server up and running. As we can see, it's now working. And let's make some example. For instance, let's translate test. So we should get the meaning, examples of usages, and lexical item test. Yeah, here we've got some response. Let's move this response to more readable format. Yeah, we can see that here written test, the meaning, example, and yeah, seems to be working as expected. Let's try something more complex or just different. For instance, feasible. Yeah, here the item, meaning, and example. Seems to be working as expected. That's mainly it, guys. So you now should be able to uh, as well run this application locally, and then you can use it for your needs. You just need to change the logic in this translate method, so you can change it as you want, and you can change this prompt as you want for your needs. And yeah, that's mainly it. I hope this video was useful for you. You understood how to integrate with Chat GPT API and can now apply it for your needs. And all of the code that I made you can find in my GitHub account with some explanation. And if you still have some questions, you can always ask them in the comments down below. So have a good day and see you later.